Hey English 112, Miss Brewer here for your quick video lecture on annotated bibliographies. So we've already talked about APA format and what that looks like. You will be creating an annotated bibliography for a social issue that you have chosen to research. That social issue should be tied back to the social issue from the literature that we've read. And what you're going to be doing is utilizing the LRC to research that social issue. You will be writing an annotated bibliography about your social issue. And what that means is you're going to have 7 articles where you have a APA formatted citation and an annotation underneath each citation. So your annotated bibliography articles should be about the social issue that you have chosen. For APA format purposes, your annotated bibliography should have a title page in APA format, 7th edition. Your annotated bibliography should have an abstract on page 2 that goes over essentially the summaries for each article. Really, your abstract should talk about what this assignment is. So what are the articles about in a very, very short, 150 to 200 words for your abstract. And then after the abstract on page 3, you have your annotated bibliography start. You do need to have the heading annotated bibliography centered on the page. And then the next thing that you should have is a citation for your first article. Your articles should be listed in alphabetical order. The citation should be in APA format. You should have a hanging indentation for your citation. After you put the citation in, you will need to write your annotation. You have to have read the article to annotate it. Your annotation contains 3 things: a brief summary of the article. So as a summary is the first thing. Identification, you're identifying how the article would be used for research. You cannot say, I would use this article for research, because we cannot write with personal pronouns in formal academic language. And then you also need to determine the credibility, okay? So you're going to summarize, identify, and evaluate the credibility. Those are the 3 things you do in an annotation. This will be on your final exam. You summarize the article, you identify how it will be used for research, and you evaluate the credibility of the article. You're going to do that in 3 to 5 sentences, okay? The first sentence to 2 sentences should summarize the article. Then you can either identify how it will be used in your in research, or evaluate the credibility, or you can do those 2 things together. For instance, if I wrote an annotation about an article that was about the effect of suspensions and incarceration, or the link between suspensions and incarceration, okay? Then what I might look into doing is writing I'll find an article that's about that. My first 2 sentences will talk about overall. The article addresses the effects of long-term suspensions or multiple suspensions, and the effects of that on going into the prison system, okay? That's my summary, that's it. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate the credibility and identify how it will be used for research. And I can do that together. This article will provide statistics to the link of long-term suspensions and time spent in prison. Statistics tells me that it's credible, and that just told me how it would be used for research without saying I or me or my or anything like that. So the length of your annotation is 3 to 5 sentences. It's not long, okay? If you choose to include a quote, you can. You do not have to. But if you choose to include a quote, make sure that you are citing it properly, okay? So that's super important. So make sure that you have citation, the annotation. Remember that for APA format, your annotated bibliography, you need a title page and you need an abstract for your annotated bibliography, okay? So you're going to be working on that, and your annotated bibliography, I think, let me just double check and make sure I've talked about everything for the annotated bib. There is a student example of an annotated bibliography. Please look at this, okay? The only difference with this student example is that it was written in APA 6th edition, and you guys are utilizing APA 7th edition. So you will no longer have a running head at the top, and your title page needs to have all of the information needed for APA 7th edition. That's in the course lecture for this week. But by you looking at the student example, you can see what an abstract should look like. You can see where you should have a title of annotated bibliography. You should see what the hanging indentation looks like, what an annotation looks like, okay? And make sure that you kind of just review it for format and also to get the hang of what you put into that annotation. As always, if you guys have questions, you can always contact me, utilize virtual office hours, or send me an email. So your annotated bibliography will not be due until Sunday. July 16th, okay? So you're not looking until, you're looking at July 16th, right? Yeah. Annotated bib. What's this? Is due the 16th of July. Okay, so get ready for that. All right. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know.